got all dolled up for you today with my pink Freddy Krueger shirt because we're talking about Freddy's Nightmares. I figured this one deserved its own full episode because, I mean, I don't know, it's Freddy Krueger stalking somebody on Halloween. That's pretty cool. I think Freddy's Nightmares is one of those shows that not a lot of people like. It's kind of a joke. I don't know. Naturally, I'm a little softer on it. I think it definitely has its huge peaks and valleys. But for the most part, I think the good episodes are so good that, I mean, I don't know. I'm just kind of glad that it exists. I'm a big Nightmare on Elm Street fan. I'm fascinated with just the fact that Freddy Krueger became such like a pop culture icon. And I love all the little weird bits of media and merchandising all through the 80s and 90s. I know a lot of people kind of shit on it because it didn't have Freddy in it as much as they'd like. I think that's a common problem a lot of people have with shit that I usually love. You know, like Jason Goes to Hell, Halloween 3, they always get shit on for not having enough of the main attraction. And I get it, I guess. But I've always kind of looked at it as like, realistically, like with this show, they're not going to be able to afford Robert Englund full time for every episode. It's kind of amazing that it got him for a lot of the hosting segments. Though I do have a sneaking suspicion that in a lot of episodes, he just did a voiceover and they kind of got a look-alike. Basically any episode where there's like a shadow over his face, I suspect that that's not Robert Englund. And I think that's a pretty safe assumption. But yeah, anyway, there are quite a few episodes where he is the actual villain of the episodes, and those are always fun. This one is one of those. I think the concept of the show was to be that every episode is Freddy Krueger fucking with somebody. He's just not always physically there, which can be a hard pill to swallow. But in episodes like this, he's actually there torturing people and stuff, and those episodes can be a shitload of fun. And also, this is 88. This is right when Dream Master came out, which is one of my personal favorites of the franchise. It's the like extra loud MTV Freddy Krueger, and you get a lot of that in the show, especially like the lighting. They always used like the red and green lighting that was all over part 4. So even though it's super low budget and poorly written, poorly acted, I mean, depending on who you are, that could be no problem at all. A lot of us like trash around here especially. But yeah, if you haven't checked it out, this is a good place to start. Even though it's hard to find, it was on Tubi for a little while and then it just disappeared. Hopefully someday we'll get something a little more consistent. Until then, I mean, you can get it through nefarious means. So, but yeah, anyway, about the episode, this is season 1, episode 4. It's called Freddy's Trick or Treats. Right off the bat, I think the most notable thing to mention is that it stars Mariska Hargitay as Marsha. So we've got some acting chops in here. She was doing horror movies around the time. I know she was also in Ghoulies, which is a favorite of mine. But yeah, and here she's Marsha. She is a college student. She's like trying to crack down and study while there's a Halloween party going on in her dorm or whatever, trying to pass her anatomy test. She's got this dude, Mark, like coming in her window wearing a Jason mask. Which, you know, I'll touch more on that probably at the end of the video, but it's really cool in 88 to get like a Freddy Krueger thing that's given a nod to Jason. I think this is around the time that Paramount was trying to get New Line to do like a versus thing. So it's cool to see that, even though it's like a cheap Kmart hockey mask. Still neat, but yeah. Anyway, he's coming in the window, like trying to scare her and shit. She's grumpy though. She's over it.
Mark, I'm trying to study.
How did you know that was me?
He's trying to like convince her to enjoy Halloween. She wants nothing to do with it though.
It's a very important holiday.
Not in Detroit.
So she goes to leave. That's where we meet these two goons that are like talking about doing dream studies. You got this guy, Gary, who's like the conscience of the group, as we'll see. He's got apprehensions about what they're doing. But his partner, I'm just going to call him Ponytail. This guy is like a sociopath.
Naked, a woman can't hide anything. She can't keep anything secret. For some women, that's a very scary thing.
And they'll come up later in the story. But yeah, anyway, she goes to school to like cut up some cadavers again for her anatomy test, which like, I'll just say that's a good setting for some spooky stuff to happen. There's a room full of dead bodies. But yeah, on her way in, she runs into Ernie, which shout out to Ernie. He's a real likable character for as little as we get him.
Tonight is Halloween.
But yeah, they start talking about how much she hates Halloween and how it's so important in Springwood.
Because we got a very spooky ghost in Springwood.
Ooh, are you telling me that this town is haunted now?
Yes, by Freddy Krueger.
Freddy who?
Krueger.
And Marcia starts talking shit a little bit. And I think that's kind of what gets Freddy's attention, I guess, and gets him to target her. She kind of summons him with her trash talk.
Okay, say that this ghost
Freddy
of yours...
Krueger.
Excuse me, Freddy Krueger really does exist. He can't really do anything except bounce under a sheet now, can he?
Marcia, you've hurt my feelings.
And yeah, it quickly goes into him tormenting her. She starts seeing shit. And this is also where we learn about her trauma she's got going on. She's like washing her hands and it's bringing up flashbacks of her grandmother making her wash her hands basically until they bleed, saying she's filthy and shit. Like, you know, that classic fucked up parental guardian situation.
I'll teach you to touch filthy boys. I'll unclean. There we go.
And this whole scene, she's kind of moving in and out of dreams. You're not really sure what is real or not. We get this real nice set piece where it's like her seeing herself in the pumpkin mask from earlier in the episode in the mirror. She's like tearing at it. It's playing like a cool spooky score over it. It's very reminiscent of Halloween 3. I'm pretty sure there's no way this wasn't an intentional reference, right? I mean, it's very blatant. But yeah, as we get more into her flashbacks about her grandma, we find out that her trauma is very valid because her grandma was fucked up.
Oh, filthy whore, we're never gonna get you clean. Your selfish parents had to go and die. I was left to raise you. You've got to fight the flesh.
And we also see that she basically indirectly killed her. So not only is she fucked up from this grandmother like constantly calling her a filthy whore and sheltering her and shit, but she's also got to live with the guilt of killing her. So like, yeah, she's fucked in the head for sure, and rightfully so. And so yeah, with this and Freddy torturing her fucking brain breaks basically, and her friends roll up on her having a mental breakdown in front of this. Well, I mean, it looks like the Elm Street house out by the street or whatever. And yeah, old Ponytail, when he rolls up on this, he sees dollar signs.
God, I could build an entire career on a head case like her.
A head case like her?
And here's where things get like a little weird. It just cuts to a scene of Marcia going up to her room, seeing Gary and Ponytail outside her window and starting to do a spicy striptease. This is a dream. At this point, they have secured her as a voluntary patient in their little dream study that we were talking about earlier. And for real, like for most of the episode, it just feels like Gary and Ponytail are basically just using this dream study to like perv out on Marcia. They're just like, because it comes through a monitor and they're recording it, and it's It just seems like they're just trying to get sick footage of her stripping and shit. And like Ponytail's all in. He has no shame. Gary is like trying to act like he feels bad, but he keeps stopping to look at that screen a lot. I'm just saying. But unfortunately, right before it gets to the good part, the video cuts out. They have Marsha trapped in like a living hell. She comes here, they lock her in a room, put her to sleep, hook her up to wires and shit. And basically, these guys try to get Pornhub material from her while Freddy Krueger like torments her. It's pretty fucked up. And you know, Ponytail is coercing her into doing all this shit. He's like taking advantage of her fear. He's trying to like up the ante of the nightmares to get like the most fear out of her so they can get the biggest reaction, because there's some like little thing where the more intense the dream is, the clearer the footage is, I guess.
You can't just shove a floppy disk in her mouth and reprogram her dreams.
I'm not looking to reprogram them. I want to enhance them. We gotta see more.
And you got Ponytail and Gary having arguments about the ethics of what they're doing.
There's a line out there somewhere. I don't know where it is, but I got a feeling in my gut that tells me we're just about to cross it.
Gary, we crossed it a long time ago, and we should keep on crossing it.
Though it seems like Gary could just leave if he was that worried about it. He's sticking around. I don't know. Maybe there's like a little possibility that he feels obligated to stick around to keep Ponytail like reeled in a little bit. But I mean, I don't know. And also, because this is like a college study thing, if these dudes found a way to record people's dreams, this would be all over the news. This wouldn't be like a hush-hush college study, right? I mean, that shit doesn't happen. Not with something this monumental. And while we're on the subject of that, the introduction of this concept into the like Freddy canon is pretty big. This would have been a good direction for a Nightmare sequel. Maybe not. Maybe it's too much. I don't know. It's kind of cool that we have this. This is almost like Freddy Krueger fan fiction. Almost. But yeah, anyway, eventually they get shut down for good reason. They are showing their professor or whatever, and he's just like, obviously, you guys are abusing this chick.
You're abusing the test subject. If something happens, this entire university will be held accountable.
So yeah, they get shut down, but Ponytail goes to Marsha with like a sob story about like basically how they're Dr. Frankensteining them.
Fools always fear the unknown.
Gets her on his side. Also manages to get her to like make out with him. So yeah, this dude fucking sucks. They go back for one last dream session. He takes her to is it a boiler room or the boiler room? I think it's just supposed to be like maybe the college's boiler room. But yeah, just that setting. Freddy shows up. She kind of wakes up to Ponytail like choking her out. But then we quickly realize that he is in the dream with her. And yeah, he's fucked. I guess from what she says, him coming into the dream, he just like inherited Freddy. Like Freddy just swapped to him. I don't know. It just seemed to me like he killed him or whatever. And I don't know. I don't want to play script doctor here, but like I thought the more obvious way to go would be for her to get like gutted by Freddy, and then it looked like he did it, so he goes to jail. I think that would have been a better end of that dude's story, but whatever. I mean, it doesn't really matter. The ending's fine. I'm just being like nitpicky. I feel like that's where you think it might be going, and that's kind of what you want to see happen. But yeah, that's how it goes. It's kind of unclear if Freddy's gonna keep fucking with Marsha or not, or if she just, you know, passed the buck to old Ponytail. But yeah, this is one of the better episodes of the whole series, honestly. I mean, this is the rare treat where you actually get Freddy Krueger doing the stalking. You've got Mariska Hargitay, who is like, at one point, a pretty high-profile actress. So she's bringing the acting chops. That kind of makes this episode one of the episodes with like the most Nightmare on Elm Street feel. It also has a lot of like creative camera work, and it's got a lot of great Freddy gags. You get Freddy as a skeleton.
Jump my balls, baby.
You got one kill, which I love. It feels very much like a low budget version of a movie kill where like some cords come out in the shape of his claw and get somebody. You got this great gag at the end on like Freddy's end segment where like a VCR shoots out blood, and you just get a bunch of one-liners from Freddy, which is always nice. So yeah, this, in terms of this show especially, is a 4-star. I mean, like I said, one of the better episodes, and one of the episodes that really comes so close to hitting that point of what people wanted and would have expected from a Freddy Krueger TV series. Just that point where it, like, you know, yeah, you got to give it leeway because it's still TV, but it does actually feel like a Nightmare on Elm Street thing with Freddy Krueger and all the kind of like surreal stuff and cool kills and gags. Good shit. In terms of Halloweeniness, this episode, I mean, it's Freddy Krueger on Halloween night. You get Jason references, you get Halloween references, the big three right there. I think if you're a horror fan, the fascination of that is enough. Because, I mean, you know, if Freddy Krueger is stalking Springwood pretty consistently, Halloween night's going to be a special night for him, right? He's going to be extra active on that night. And this gives us a chance to see that. You get a few cool, like, Freddy Krueger Halloween moments. You get him saying trick or treat.
Trick or treat!
Which I'm surprised that clip doesn't get used more, because that's pretty cool. There's also one thing I noticed. It's just like in the background of one scene, there is a jack-o'-lantern carved into the 4 slash marks. That's a pretty cool, like, Freddy Krueger Halloween moment. The first half of the episode is extremely Halloween-centric. The second half, I mean, every episode of this series kind of has that halfway point where they switch focus to a side character from the first half. So yeah, the second half is after Halloween and it all kind of drops off. But that first half is extremely festive. You've got great decorations everywhere, great costumes, constant references to Halloween and trick-or-treating and stuff. That's enough to carry it, I think, to a pretty good score. I am changing the scoring system from here on out. I'll probably explain more later about that. But yeah, if you've been watching these, you know that the scoring system was dumb. I thought it was hilarious. It has since, I think, ran its course. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to come up with some kind of rating system. But yeah, for right now, we'll just use the star system. This gets 3 stars in terms of Halloweeniness. That first half of the episode gave it a big boost. I think if the whole episode had been a little more Halloweeny, maybe just at least showed some like residual decorations still in the background, maybe it probably would have got a 4-star. But yeah, still a pretty big recommend. It's a great episode to pop in, and like I've been going on and on about the whole time, this is Freddy Krueger on Halloween. If you like either of those things, I'm sure you're gonna enjoy it. But yeah, that's it. More to come in the future. I hope everybody's having a good Halloween season. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And until next time.